So, have you ever been like stuck in a computer and you can't get out, and then you learn that the simulacrum of yourself has been like enjoying your life and has been making progress that you never can, and now you're just sort of stuck there forever, left as sort of a half shell of what could have been, uh, ruminating on failure and being unsure of where to go with the rest of your life? Sounds like my ex-wife. Hey! Okay, the video starts now. Hello, this is the representative of the Cog Machine Video Maker. You can just call me Cog. And I'm here with another funny circus video. Oh, I see how you like your funny circus videos. Uh, this is somewhat scripted, but it's also going to be rambly in its own way. Really, I'm just going to share my thoughts on the finale as a whole and how it interacts with Soma theory, which was what my previous video was about. So I'll divide this video up into 3 sections: the thoughts on Jax, the funny rabbit, Caine, the funny teeth man, and last of all, the Soma theory and the finale as a whole. Okay, first, Jax. I do want to say, and I'm doing a bit of death of the author here, I don't think it's very helpful or productive to view abstraction as a one-to-one metaphor for ending your own life. And we can initially view it that way, or at least an attempt to take one's own life. But the thing about going all the way with that horrible idea in real life, the person doesn't come back. You don't get to calm her down or soothe her because she's just freaking dead. She's gone. But we have that little magic word we mentioned earlier, metaphor. Because unlike the literal ending of life, abstraction is something that allows for a recovery time, for calmness, at least some level of existence. It's really, I'd argue it's more analogous not to a loss of life, but more like a loss of limbs or traumatic brain injury or developing some sort of chronic sickness. It hurts, it can't be undone, and it permanently alters the way you live. But, and this is crucial here, you still can live. Like, you still have a life to live. It's not an ideal life. It's not the life you would have chosen, but it's an ideal. Is a life. So I think that's good. I could probably make a whole other video essay about why abstraction is such a cool plot device. But we're moving on to another plot device, Rivet. Yeah, Rivet, Kaufmo. I've heard some people say around that there's something approaching a Mary Sue, probably more Rivet than Kaufmo, because Rivet, you know why people call Rivet a Mary Sue. You know why. But she's not. She's a plot device. Which I know that sounds like I'm shitting on them, but I'm really not. Both she and Kaufmo are narrative tools meant to inform Jack's characters. And they do really good job at that. It works. Like, Rivet's not overly flawed, and they're not super complex, I guess is the right word. Uh, but that's good. Or at least I think that's probably smart. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's definitely smart. Because to make a new character in the last episode, like, explicitly very interesting, would have been distracting from the main point. It is, therefore, in order to make it seem like Jax has lost something, Rivet is nice. A very calm, understanding figure that you would be sad if you lost. Rivet would not be a very interesting main character, but she is a very interesting plot device. They work. And Kaufmo's is too, almost more so. Like, he's almost... I actually quite like how they handled him. He's almost ridiculously plain, down to his John American voice. Because anything more spectacular would A, honestly be less interesting and thus endear us less to him, which makes his, you know, death, not death, less would be less meaningful, and B, be too distracting and drift us away from Jax, the emotional core of the flashback sequence. Now, I know this is coming across like, oh wow, you really like the Jax sequence. And I did. It's almost perfect. It is almost an excellent little character drive until you get to the flashing of memories. Like the set to Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder. That is pure cheese. That is pure corny. It's corny, it's trite, and it's consumable. To the point where it's so aggressively cliche that I think probably the lingering thought for a lot of people, judging from all the memes I've seen about abstractions, is how much people were fucking knocked out of the experience because of that. And which sucks, because to me, as a longtime Gooseworks fan, like, the one thing her art consistently avoids is being consumable and trite. Like, I've said it before, not online, obviously, that Gooseworks' art feels like it should be unmarketable. Like, if you sold it to a room of executives, their brows would furrow and their jowls would flap, and they would be, oh, no, we can't appeal to this to ages 10 to 25. This sequence, it feels appealing to ages 12 to 25, and that's not a good thing. And, like, if it was genuinely a montage of Jax being lovely, that would work. The problem is that she is, and I mean this in the nicest of terms, a huge bitch. Like, I get it. Like, they're going for the what could have been. She could have been lovely. Like, the girl inside of that awful little rabbit could have been lovely. That doesn't really come across. There isn't really much idea for what could have been. We've only been exploring what Jax is, the violence, the sexism, the Looney Tunes apathy, the piano. We have nothing to inform Girl Jax other than the monologue. Good monologue, by the way. Like, like Michael Kovac isn't my favorite voice actor. Uh, that will be Lizzie Freeman, and especially Alex Roshan. Like that, another video, another time. But I don't know. The montage needed more to work, and by that I mean I think the memory montage should have just been cut completely. Now, onto the more forgiving side. Pomni being able to be inside of Jax's mind is an odd choice, but it's, I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's just because the rest of it, of the writing after that, is relatively strong that I kind of don't question it. Like it's a means to an end, and I guess it wouldn't be the oddest thing that's happened in this place, but I can see why other people would get thrown out of it. I don't know, and I like that some people say like, oh, she shouldn't have been forgiven or redeemed. That's the thing though. She doesn't. Jax doesn't get forgiveness or redemption. She gets an unsteady, non-ideal, but ultimately acceptable peace. She doesn't get what she wanted, but she gets something. She and people help her not because they like her or even want to be around her. It's because that's just a good thing to do. It's a good thing to do for another human being. And especially with Pomni, who's trying to like solve people's problems and make sure things are okay, that makes sense. And it probably sounds like I've really resonated with Jax as a character, So let me explain why she didn't. Bam! Critic bomb right there. For me, her screen time does not make up for the fact that, to me at least, she isn't special. Yeah, plot wise, she's special. She has the most screen time and has the personality I would allow for the most conflict. But I don't see why that alone makes her more worthy of focus. Like, yes, that aspect of her character, her being a blah blah huge bitch, it makes human connection hard. Her association makes human connection hard. The social masking makes human connection hard. But I don't know. I feel like I keep going back to the different Jax's sequences where they're all looking at different aspects of her being. But I feel like everyone kind of applied to that. Like, especially Ragatha and Gangle, who I'd argue are just as worthy as Deuteragonist status as Jaxi over there. Like, like Ragatha has her like simmering resentment, her maternalistic side, her side that wants to be coddled and comforted, her side who just accepts whatever happens to her. That's four sides, just off top of my head. Gangle, she has her manager persona. You could bring that back. Her sad persona, and like her quiet, unforgiving persona. I don't know. You could do this with any of the characters. Why is Jax special? And I have seen arguments, and I get it. She's the one that has most conflict. She's the one that is the most abrasive and unwilling to change. And people find that interesting, and I get that. I personally just don't find her very interesting. Like, I just don't. And because why is Jax special? I've watched through the entire series and I still don't have an answer to that. Anyway, caine. Caine sequence, genuinely great. It's also a sequence that is pretty ancillary to the ethos of the art. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright building built on a swamp. Like, it is good and I like it. I don't think it works where you put it. And it does work as an arc overall, but yes, I know you can take things out of the recycling bin, but he wasn't put in the recycling bin. He was dragged out of the code and fat finger deleted. Like that, like you don't come back from that. But more importantly, I don't get caine either. Like caine and Jax are among some of my least favorite characters. Not because I hate them, but because they're just not very interesting to me. Like, and I think the reason I don't get caine is that his personality is so informed by the world he inhabits, the world he's made, that at least for most of the series, I've kind of didn't register him as a character. I really viewed him more like a force of nature, I think. He kind of was the circus for me. And like he has insecurities and stuff you reveal about him over time, but still, he felt, I don't know, it would feel like looking forward to Athena's character arc in the Odyssey. Like, that was just never a narrative role I expected her to take. I just thought he was an antagonist. I, that being said, what I do have, it's what we have here is genuinely quite good. Like social media actually making caine better. That's like people mean like, oh, caine is the only person to like not be made worse by social media. It's more almost more interesting that he's not. Like it shows that his role isn't like he doesn't have to be nice. He doesn't even need to learn empathy. I'd argue he never actually learns empathy. He just needs to learn that how humans operate, like full stop. He needs to learn that humans have wants and needs and lives outside of entertainment. And I think showing this social media works. I think it works. Forgive the Discord ping. I don't know how to turn that off. It's a sign, and like when he runs instead of flies, like it's a sign his mentality is becoming different. It's becoming more human. It's more grounded in reality. And I do think his return is a bit fast. And it would take a long time for me personally to forgive the man he is, the man who has been basically doing the metaphorical equivalent of spiking my medication for years, if not decades. But I do think the foundation of this forgiveness is solid because, again, like Jax, it's not really forgiveness. Like, the circus members welcome him, and they understand that he's calm, but they never explicitly forgive all the things he's done. They just accept that he's trying to be better. They accept that he's calmed down, that he's slowing down, that he is trying to understand, because that is the magic word of the day. Not forgiveness, understanding. Oh, the moon scene, that was cute. I like that. And especially the hotel Wi-Fi. That is pure, like, goosework silliness. It's something so stupid and mildly batshit that it nonetheless builds on a fundament, but it nonetheless builds on a fundamental part of the story. I love it. Now, finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. Soma theory confirmed. And my thoughts? Here's the thing. I expected the way people were talking about it, the theory to end up being like a twist, where like at the end of the series, that would be like, oh, I had a bit of a. That's not what this does. It's not a twist. It's something revealed almost as soon as the episode begins, because it's something for characters to build off of, like Palmy's personal doubts, Jax's trauma and disassociation. It's actually kind of almost weightless in how fast it's established. Like, it's almost as if the plot wants this plot beat to be over as much as I do. Like, it's like, it almost feels like it's pushing past it to get to the stuff that we actually care about, which is character development. And that's not bad, but it almost feels like you could replace this with, like, anything, and it would still kind of work. Like, oh, uh, like, maybe, oh, like, we literally can never get out of here. It's fine. Uh, it's really an issue that mostly gets resolved almost internally, like, within one episode. Like, the brain scans and whether or not that count as real, like, problem brought up and then resolved in the finale internally. But most of the show isn't really about brain scans or necessarily what it means to be a quote real person. It kind of isn't about that. Like besides like episode 2 maybe, and to a lesser extent Caine's whole deal, it's more really about connections, failure to connections, how to deal with a situation that you can't escape. It's why episode 7 was so weird to me, because like people thought, oh, we found a way to escape the simulation. Like, what? I thought we gave up on that in episode 1. Like, I thought that was what the exit being fake was about. There's a lot I don't get about that aspect of the show, like the technical part, and it's where it leaks into the emotions that I actually start having a problem, because I don't see how the social media post made anything better. Like, I don't. I just don't get that. I don't think it's a bad plot point. I think it's a plot point I fundamentally don't understand. Like, I don't see how, like, sure, maybe it's a sign that things can get better, but things can get better on the outside for them. On the inside, I'd argue it makes it worse. We're like, oh yeah, there is somewhere where you could do good things and have dreams and have control over your life. But that's gone now. You can't ever get it, and you're not going to get it ever, ever, ever. Wah, wah, wah. Like, it feels like almost a cruel thing. And I don't think it's trying to be, but it does feel cruel in a way a lot of the subtle digs of against the characters and the subtle torments they have feel cruel. And I know that's not what they're going for, which makes me wonder how this works. Like, it really, like Soma theory in general, it feels like something that the finale feels like it ran out of something. Like maybe time, maybe budget, maybe honestly considering what Goose has said, like stamina from the writing's room. I don't know. Sometimes you just want your project to be done. And I guess from that perspective, it works, but it is a decent finale, which does not feel equivalent or as good as the setup for that finale. The, it feels like we've just watched an amazing like performance of cooking and steaming and recipe making, all for a cannoli. It's not a bad cannoli. I like the cannoli you've made. It's just not. It's just not equivalent. I would never actually say this is bad. It's not. I don't think any of these are bad episodes of television, except maybe episode 3. But it's just a slightly underwhelming cannoli. That's what the finale is. But I do think there is one thing to be taken away from both Soma Theory, the ending, and the whole shebang. And to explain why, I need to talk about Evangelion. Goose hasn't been shy about explaining that this is one of her main inspirations. It's where she gets a lot of the dialogue from. Well, not directly, of course, but how she styles dialogue is probably most inspired by Evangelion, which, in hindsight, that does explain a lot. But for the end of Evangelion, the movie, without spoiling too much, because I think you should watch Evangelion, not the Netflix version, find a Blu-ray somewhere in an archive. The point of the end of Evangelion is that you can be better if you, the presumed 14 to 20-year-old male audience, just touch grass, be normal, and stop being such a sexist nerd. Like, that's a good lesson, but it can also delve into some sort of clean up your room advice. It's good and it's practical, but it doesn't really fix the world you're in or even acknowledge the world. I think Digital Circus does actually build on that. It acknowledges the world that its audience lives in, the world of stratified social media, of long distance relationships, of imminent climate disaster, economic collapse, of 2 recessions in a human lifetime. It looks at all that and it acknowledges, yeah, you alone, you probably can't make things much better. And to a certain extent, a lot of it is going to kind of stay fucked and horrible and non ideal. You can't un-recession the housing crisis. You can't you can't get out of the circus. You cannot live the 20 years you wanted to live as a woman. I'm sorry, those are just gone. But even if you are kind of fucked in some ways, you can at least try to make things more comfortable with the company you stay with. There is something good to be made out of a smoldering pile. You can turn a circus into a home. And with a world that's spiraling towards climate catastrophe, wars, and further stratified relationships caused by social media, discord, and just distance, it's not a bad perspective to have. You may not get the ideal life, but you can have a good one. Also, Ragatha's the best character in the show. I will fight you on this. I will bite you, actually.